Welcome everybody to the Verts podcast. I'm your host tonight, Sonny Weaver. So no interview tonight. Instead tonight we're going to talk about something that I think has gotten a lot of press, but I kind of want to look at it from a couple different angles and figure out what went wrong. And that is the lack of launch day support for Madden 17 when it comes to accessing your CFM. We had no CFM site, we have no access to Daddy Leagues, and we have an app that's being promised but with no due date. So I want to dive into that and look at some of the things surrounding that and figure out what could be the logic behind that. So to get started, if you guys play CFM and you follow along, you will know for years that those who play online and play with guys from all over the country, trying to connect with those people is difficult. There's really no way that you're going to get all 32 guys onto a console at any given time together. And so drafts are hard, but just general day-to-day trades and so on are tough to do. So a lot of sites, a lot of CFMs, much like NBL, which I'm a part of, we use third-party applications, one of those applications being GroupMe. And so a lot of our communication occurs on these third-party applications. It's where we set up trades. It's where we talk about different things, games, and so on. So with those third-party applications, obviously people are using those from their phone, computers at work, just away from their console. An integral part of that interaction between the players in CFM, especially those online trying to play with people around the world, could be that they need to be able to still understand what's going on within the game, within their CFM. And so for years we've used the CFM website, we've used Daddy Leagues, and from those we're able to pull stats, scores, look at players for trades, and so on. So Madden 17 comes out and we find out that at release there's not going to be support for the CFM website or for Daddy Leagues. And so obviously there was the initial outrage that you could expect. Upon release, they did release a note saying that an application would be coming out at some point, to be determined, that would allow you to do some of those things. Now we still haven't seen any sort of details on what's actually going to be included in that application. Now, there's a huge opportunity there that I'll get to later on, but at the same time, the lack of launch day support really leaves a lot to be desired as a CFM user. As I mentioned, most interactions in CFMs today, especially ones of people online, don't occur at the console. So with the inability to actually know what's going on in the CFM, it's put a strain on leagues such as NBL and many others out there who I've talked to that really don't know what's going on when they're away. Games don't get played all at the same time. They get played throughout the day. People are not able to talk and communicate during the day at the same time, so a lot of this stuff gets done at varying points, and so not being able to check scores, game results, it's tough to even coordinate something like an advance because you don't know how many games have been played yet. Daddy Leagues kind of became an essential part of online CFMs like ours. Others may have used the online CFM website, but no matter the point, to not have that ready at launch is basically to not have an integral part of the game available at launch. So NBL, we waited for the run pass glitch to get fixed. And so we got a late start, and as I played my first CFM game last night and I find myself waiting for the advance, I have no way to know when we're going to advance. Obviously, we talk about it in the chat, but advances move faster than necessarily what the scheduled time is. You know, we don't know how many games are left. We don't know if somebody broke rules blowing guys out. You know, somebody's got to go to the console to find that out. And I think what's most disturbing about this is that it's the year 2016. In 2016, I can pull out my phone. I can look at a camera setup in my house and see what's going on. I can pull up Google and find out anything in the world. I can pull up and find out, I can ask Siri for that matter, what the score of any game is. But the one thing you can't do is connect to your connected franchise. And to me, that seems like an oversight by EA. And I understand that they're on a deadline. They've got a short development schedule compared to a lot of different genres of game. And I understand that Madden, you know, there's a lot of things going on there. But for a game mode that they claim to be an integral part of this franchise, that just seems like a big oversight to me. If I can't connect to it either from an application that they're working on or at least from some sort of gaming website like a Daddy Leagues, you know, you're missing out on a big opportunity, EA. I think you want to keep people immersed in your game as much as possible, right? So I work in marketing, and one of the things we like to do is try to keep our product on people's minds all the time. Well, the way it's set up right now, once you walk away from your CFM, it's out of mind, out of sight. With a CFM website, with an app, with Daddy Leagues, you stay involved in that CFM around the clock. I can tell you, when I'm at work, I'm checking CFM scores, I'm checking out stats, I'm checking out trades. But without those things, there's a disconnect there. And I'll be honest, people are losing interest. I think it has been a detriment. And like I said, they've got an idea of when this thing will be coming out. They haven't released it to the public. They haven't released what's going to be in there. But to not at least leave up the old CFM site, which I will give them was hard to navigate, and I will bet their stats don't show a lot of people used it, because I think more people probably use Daddy Leagues because it was just laid out better. But that information is still an integral part of leagues like NBL and others who want to really immerse in these CFMs. I get they're trying to move away from the term connected franchise mode, but think about that for a second. You have a mode called connected franchise mode that you can't connect to. Jokingly, I was talking to some guys and they said, well, the name fits, connected franchise mode, meaning you have to be connected to your Xbox if you want to have anything to do with your franchise. Someone dropped the ball on this. To not have that ready upon release of this game was a big oversight. And based on when the release of this app is going to happen, it sounds like that really didn't become a priority for them probably till May, maybe April, May. Somebody must have realized that, hey guys, we're going to need this. But, I just look at this and think, how did this happen? How did that happen? Somebody should have brought this up, and I hope the Game Changers said something about this, and I hope they were surveying the crowd of people out there. I'm not sure they did, but I hope they were, because I think if they did, they would have realized that inaccessibility of anything, especially something you're supposed to invest so much time into in today's world, is not okay. If you look at Mutt has Mudhead, right? So if you want to know prices of cards you got or different things, you can use Mudhead and look at that all day long. Now, CFM is obviously more specific to the user, but at the same time, that's still an integral part of what we're doing. And for them to kill that website, I'm not sure what happened there, but I think to miss on that is to really not understand your consumer base at this point. It could be a feature. It could be a great way to sell your products. Instead, it was kind of not talked about and kind of left on the side of the road until it was too late, and now we're waiting here and hearing different rumors about different time periods that I'm not going to start diving into. But at the same time, all I know is we're almost a month after the release of this game, and we still don't have any way to check our CFM if we're not by our Xbox. So big mess up there by EA, not being able to connect. They're going to get it there, hopefully. They're going to get right, but that's something that we're going to have to wait and see. Now, when we talk about the app, what you do get from there is a lot of potential. And I think the CFM website, to start with, it just never improved. It never evolved with the community. It wasn't easy to use. It was kind of clunky. This app provides them a fresh start, and I hope they take this fresh start to heart and really look at ways that they can make this app successful. I think the first thing they need to do with this app is equip a commissioner to do things that are beneficial. And so things like advancing the league from the app, adding people, removing people, and so on. That is something that must be there for this app to be successful. It has to be there because commissioners, they've got so much responsibility in running these leagues. And so if you really want to give the commissioner the powers that they need, you got to give it to them in this app. It's bad enough the users have to be tied to the Xboxes. It's tough to get one guy there to do all the work that he must do. The next thing you're going to have in this app is team management. And the reason I say that is I need to be able to see my team, and I need to be able to execute trades, sign free agents, and so on from this app. You have to be able to scout and do things while you're away, because trying to get two people to an Xbox at the same time to negotiate a trade, right? So trades will go back and forth, and we'll talk about them in our group me and different things. But you need to be able to let people execute those trades from different places. Somebody may send me a trade and I'm at the movie theater, and I may not be back till the next advance. It creates a really awkward trying to exchange to get those two people together. I need to be able to access that and really manage my team when I'm away from the console. Really let me empower my team when I'm not there. I think that's something that EA's really missed on, that that needs to be taken care of. If they threw in something as well as spending XP, that would be great. But that's, I'm not going to get greedy at this point. I would love to be able to spend XP and improve my guys, but simply being able to manage my team from said app would definitely be an improvement that would allow me to really think about my team and really immerse myself in my own team when I'm not at my Xbox. And kind of the last thing I think this app must have, and it may not be there early, but I think it's got to get there, and that's you got to be able to draft from your app. These are cloud-based CFMs. These are something that these apps should be able to work through. Getting 32 guys, and if you're in a 32-man CFM, you will understand this. Getting 32 guys together to draft is a very difficult process. And while those guys may not be able to get to Xboxes because they're away, they could probably get to their phone to make their picks and really immerse themselves in the draft. We've done a great job in NBL the last couple years of trying to get everybody there, but every year a couple guys have to miss. And while the computer does an admirable job, there's still no draft board. You can't set it. You can't really necessarily pick the guys that you want to be picked. So to let guys be able to draft away from their console would be great. And with things like push notifications, you could even push when it's the guy's turn on the draft. So when it's his turn in the draft, he would click on the app, go there, pick his player, and move on. So he wouldn't have to stare at his phone the whole time. I mean, honestly, you could do that with anything. Trades, weekly advances, that kind of stuff. But that goes back to what I talked about earlier in this podcast. You want your players and your users to be fully immersed in your game. With this app, you're going to bring the users back in and keep them focused on your game. And from my interviews with Rex, player retention. You got to keep players. You got to keep them around. If you want players to stay in your game and keep playing your game, you got to give them something that makes them constantly think about your game. And I think the app will do it. I think the oversight not to have the app ready. I think the oversight to not have the CMF site up. I think the oversight to not have a connection to Daddy Leagues. Those things can be forgiven, but you have to redeem yourself, and this app gives you that opportunity. And don't confuse me here. I'm upset that wasn't there at launch, right? Me and everybody else, I think we all agree that was a mistake, but that's a mistake that can't be fixed now. All you can do is try to improve on that and move forward. This app creates the opportunity to build on that. First pass, I don't expect everything to be there. But at some point in this CFM, I expect everything there. Administration tools, team management, and yes, even drafting. If EA really wants to show that they're buying into the CFM movement, that they're buying into what their users want, those things must be in this eventual app. I would like to see more transparency on dates and what's included. Obviously, they keep telling us it's going to come soon. We don't know when. They won't give us a date. But my bigger issue is they're not even going to tell us what's there. I get it. They don't know what's going to work when they release it, but if you're not going to set a time frame for when you're going to release it, tell us what you want to work. We need more transparency from EA on these things. They've been great so far up to this point, but this is one of the places where it's kind of been left alone for us users and what we can expect. So hopefully somebody will hear this, try to provide a little more transparency on what we're looking at time-wise as well as feature-wise. And hopefully they can also tell us the roadmap of where they want this to head going forward. So CFM movement, tell me what you think. What do you want on the app? What didn't I cover tonight that you would like to see on that app? And let's get that over to the developers. Obviously, they're not done with it yet. Maybe we can get that thrown in there. I thank everybody for tuning in tonight. Make sure you at me at T4Verts on Twitter. Let me know what you think. Also, make sure you follow along at MBL Network. We're putting out a lot of great content. My boy DK just put out a great take today on the beta testing program. I suggest you guys all go and check that out. For all of us here at the 4Verts Podcast, has been Sonny Weaver saying thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.